Hello and welcome to my show where I interview 21 sovereign men and women. And this is the first time in English. So if you're Danish, bear with us. We have a Swede with us today. Sebastian, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. My Danish really sucks.
Yeah, and my
So I
Swedish
prefer
really
to do it
sucks.
in
So I'm
English.
happy to be doing it in English. But it's called Learning to Live, I think will be the English
Yeah, exactly.
translation of this show, and it's just to give the audience who are interested in what's this all about. You hear so many stories and you hear so many rumors and so much hearsay, and so it's great to hear it from the horse's mouth. And that's why you are a
Mhm.
little bit famous, probably not for the things that you'd like people to talk about, but the fact that you are driving on law number plates is kind of like a big buzz thing, because that's like,
Really?
can it be? Can it be? Can it really be possible?
Okay.
But I'd like you to introduce yourself more personally without that hanging over your head. We'll get into that. Just tell the audience a bit about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in Romania for the first 10 years of my life. Then I moved to Sweden with my family after the revolution when Ceausescu got taken down from power by the infamous United States infiltrators. And I've been living here most of my life, 41 years old now. Been working as a pilot for the last 10, 11 years until I got unemployed by this craziness going on right now. Um, I've always thought something is wrong with the world, the way people behave, and the way of life, uh, really, the debt system and all of that. And when I discovered that my passengers are basically parcels that I'm transporting around,
Yeah, when you were a
just
pilot, yes.
yeah, that I'm just transporting souls on board and not people on board. That kind of woke me up as well. So I started to investigate and found out more and more how we are declared to be dead in the system, um, and that resonates really good with how people are treated when in contact with the so-called authorities, which are a bunch of fakes. They don't even ask for your name. They couldn't care less what your name is. What's your social security number?
Exactly.
That's the only thing that
What's your
identifies you. Well,
transactional?
I
Could
mean,
you?
I looked at myself many times in the mirror, and I was never able to see any tattooed number on anywhere on me. So that's obviously not my number.
Yeah,
Not something that is attached to me physically or in any other way. It's a supposed or presumed attachment.
exactly.
And I'm actually writing a letter to the court right now, together with Henrik and some other friends that I'm in good contact with. Helping each other on how to write it, and so that we maintain the same status and standing, so we don't wobble too much back and forth between different um, definitions of ourselves,
Exactly.
literally, so that we maintain our sovereign status, though.
And we'll
And
get it. This audience might not know everything, so we'll get into explaining that. But I love the story, and I don't know if it was told correctly, about the souls. When you were on the airplane, Henrik told me one of your big aha moments was when she interrupted you and said, "No,
yeah,
you have 244 souls on board." Could you tell
exactly.
that
Yeah.
story again?
Well, that was kind of funny, yeah, because I was in a very small airport, but it was previously a military airport. So the control tower was military. And just before pushback, um, to taxi out and take off, just before pushback, she called me up from tower and said, "How many souls on board?" And at the time, I knew nothing about this, so I said 153 people on board. And she interrupted me really quickly and said, "No, no, negative, negative. I need souls on board." And I was thinking to myself, well, I've already told you the number, so what's the problem? Do whatever you want with it.
Yeah,
But no, the thing is, everything is recorded within aviation. The conversations between tower and aircraft, the conversations within the cockpit, the conversation within the tower, everything is monitored and recorded at all times. So for her, it was very important that she got to record the correct definition coming out of my mouth, because we were in charge of that aircraft. So as I was not the captain, but I was in communication, speaking on behalf of the captain, and it was still important that the captain maintained the correct status of the cargo on board. So it was important for them to have recorded the words of souls. So I had to say souls on board, otherwise we were not cleared for pushback.
So interesting, because it is about cargo, and what you learn is that we're like cargo.
Yeah.
Lysør in Danish, like a commodity.
Exactly.
And there was an insurance thing too.
Yeah, it's all about insurance. I found this out later when I was flying with another guy that also works higher up in another consortium, an aviation consortium. So he working in a really high position there. He has good insight into how things work, and he told me the reason why. And it's all about money. It's all about insurance, because if I'm transporting parcels and I happen to crash, then the claims on insurance companies won't be so high as if you kill 153 living men and women, because all you've lost is just some packages, you know. So it's all about.
If we were souls and not cargo, if we were living men and women on the plane, it would be much more expensive. Is that what you're saying?
Well, to me, that kind of sounds, I mean, it's a weird thing, because the soul, I comprehend as the living part of us. The body is just a vessel for us.
Exactly.
But depends on from which perspective you look at this, because the souls on board could also be that the soul has departed from the vessel. So we have 153 dead parcels in the, you know, in the
that's taking it
exactly how to interpret that, but something was fishy at the time. Something was fishy with the wording and the definition and all that. So anyway, that was the event that really got me thinking about what is what. And previously to that, I had also had a long discussion with the Swedish Skatteverket, because working in an international domain, I was employed by a company, paid by a third company, and so on. It's a complicated structure within the aviation industry, for how they employ us and pay us and so on. So I was talking to the Swedish Skatteverket, and they shoved me from one administrator to the next one to the next one, and by the time I got to the fifth one of those handlers, I totally flipped on him. I mean, I went bananas on him, because it seems they have no intercommunication within this fraudulent corporation. So they don't actually follow up a case from one administrator to the next one. So I had to repeat the whole thing all over again to each one of them, so, you know, to put them in the loop. And I was like, by the time I was at the fifth one, I completely lost it. So he saw that I was really upset with the whole procedure and everything, and he threw it out there. Oh, I can give you 35,000 discount on your taxes. And I was like, okay, fine. Based on what paragraph? On what? Yeah, based on what paragraph? On what law? And he said, there is no law, but I can give you 35,000 discount.
Amazing.
And then I realized, like, that is amazing. I was like, Jesus, man. Then you know what? Discount the whole thing, because you will never receive another penny from me. And he never did after that.
So you told him that he would never receive another penny from you?
Yeah. Because I realized taxation is voluntary. If they can give a discount of 35,000 based on absolutely nothing, it's all arbitrary. It's all up to them. So I told him, I gave him a direct order, discount the whole thing, because I don't want to pay. I'm not going to pay you anything.
You told him to not just give you 35, but to annul the whole payment. Thing, yeah. How much payment was it?
Exactly. Well, I mean, I think they wanted a yearly taxation of 170 to 100,000 or something like that. I don't remember exactly.
Based on your forskudsopgørelse, that thing, what you...
Yeah, based on the salary that I had at the time. Okay. And at the time, back in 2012, I was kind of stupid. So I actually called them and told them, this is where I work, this is how much I make. I thought that I was doing the right thing before I realized that we are all screwed, you know? So, and they showed their own fraudulent nature by the way they handled the case. And then I realized taxation is voluntary, and it's negotiable.
When was
And
this
if it's
exactly?
negotiable, let's negotiate.
What year and time? And when was this when you told them to
That
not?
was in 2012, I think.
2012. Wow, 8
Yeah.
years ago. 9 years
So
ago.
yeah.
And,
And well, then they stole a bunch of money from my account.
yeah, so that's just for the audience to know that you can do a lot of things, but they can do a lot of things. So there is no free lunch, right? They'll come get back at you.
No, I mean, there is no such thing as free lunch, and I never wanted a free lunch. I will gladly work for my lunch, but the problem is I'm working. These fuckers are stealing my lunch.
How did they
That's the
steal your
problem.
lunch after 2012?
Well, they went into the account and they stole whatever they wanted.
Was it based on you not paying taxes back then in 2012?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, okay. You could have taken the 35, but you had a moment of truth and everything happened.
No, for me, it's a matter of principality. It's a lie. It's a fraud. Everything is a lie and a fraud. So I've never stole from anyone. I've never damaged anyone. I just want to be left the hell alone so I can live my life with my family and friends and whatever I want. And that's it, you know.
When did they steal money from you, Sebastian?
What?
When did they take the money from your account?
Just like a year and a half ago.
Okay. Did you get it back?
Oh, hell no. You'll never get it back.
So we have to take our money out of these accounts to be safe.
Yeah.
Because they can do that.
Put it in gold, silver, crypto, whatever you want, but get it out of their banks because they own the platform.
Yeah.
And as long as they own the platform, they can do whatever they want. So Swedbank, and the funny thing is that Swedbank actually is the criminal institution because Swedbank opened up the account for a third party to steal whatever they want from that account without even letting me know.
Wow.
They didn't even inform. Swedbank is a criminal entity, absolutely 100% criminal. And not only Swedbank, every other bank, of course.
And this money that we think we have in our bank account, it's not even money, and it's not even ours.
No,
it's theirs. They created that concept of those, we call them slave tokens, which is whatever kroner or euros or whatever, it's tokens. It's not real money because it has no value. And they consider what is in your account the bank's property.
Sorry, guys.
It is their property because we put it in the account as a general deposit. And when you make a general deposit, the ownership of the value transferred to the one that holds the account. And you don't hold the account, they hold the account.
Yes.
For you to maintain ownership of your hard-earned shit coins would be to make a special deposit. But there's no bank in the modern world that would accept a special deposit because they know that you retain the ownership of that money or the presumed money, which prohibits them from using your money to make more money off of it. So they will not accept a special deposit.
Okay, so we're making what kind of deposit?
General deposit.
General deposit and special deposit. Okay, we'll get back to that. I want to rewind a little bit, Sebastian. So you had the aha moment with the souls and then the tax authorities in 2012. What happened? What changed in your life when you said, to hell with it, I'm not paying taxes? And what choices do you make? How did your daily life change? You kept being a pilot in 2012?
Yeah. Back then, I didn't do the status correction, all of that. I just said, the hell with the system. I will pay for whatever I need. I don't want their privileges. I understood a long time ago that we don't really have any rights. What we have are privileges, and there's a huge difference. So I've never been looking for any privileges from anybody. I will take care of myself and my family and whatever I need.
With privilege, you mean social welfare. So if you're taking money from the government, you're getting their privilege, you're kind of in a contract because you're taking the benefits and all that. Yeah.
So I've been unemployed now for over a year. I'm still not on unemployment. I will never seek unemployment from anybody.
I get that.
I would rather do whatever I can to survive. And right now it's getting a little bit tight, to be quite honest. But there's no way in hell that I will ever apply for any privileges from this fictitious.
And what changed? When did you change status, as you say? And did you do something to own your house and your car and all those things?
I mean, Henrik and I and a few other people, we've tried different routes, but the system is so completely corrupt that they will first of all work against you as much as they can and not recognize anything. and you kind of have to look for the magic spell, the abracadabra kind of thing.
Abracadabra actually means, what does it
I create as I speak.
Yeah, I see. I create as I speak, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Exactly.
Continue.
But a lot of people, attach some kind of magical spell to the wording, so that's why I used it. It's not specific per se, but anyway, the thing is, they've had hundreds, if not maybe thousands of years at their disposal to create this juristical construct to enslave us and to hide everything from us.
Juristical.
Yeah.
Jurisdiction,
exactly. They've had a long time to do this, and we've just recently, I'm very new to this, even though I've been doing it for a few years, but I'm still relatively new to these things compared to the people that have done it for 25, 30 years, so but we've had a very, very limited time to uncover all the things that they've been hiding from us. And the problem above that, on top of that, is that we're not even playing on a level playing field. Everything is tilted against us, and they own not only the banking structure, but they own them. They have monopoly on violence. So, as some of our colleagues in Denmark have experienced when driving with different plates and so on, they've had their cars confiscated, and they were, harassed by these pirates calling themselves police and so on. So it's piracy going on the streets by this corporation calling themselves police.
But your story, if I understood it correctly, will give people hope. We also have to be realistic, but the fact that you drive on a common court driver's license, is that correct?
Yeah, common law court, yeah.
Could you show that?
Yeah.
Sorry to I just think, for me at least, and I think it provides so much value and hope when you show these things, because there's so many.
Yeah. Let me just go get my phone and I'll.
Thank you so much, Sebastian. Sorry, but
I'm just looking right now for the actual paper, how to fill it out.
Yeah.
With the tax, I have it in my email. I'm just gonna look it, and I'm gonna show it to your audience.
Even though it's a long way and it's hard, but when we see you, Sebastian, actually doing this, it means so much to the awakening and to the belief. And
the funny thing is, I've been stopped with this private conveyance. They've stopped me a few times, and
they stop you because you have number plates, license plate on your car that's not Swedish. And it's not in other countries. It's CLC and a number. So
it's a different jurisdiction altogether. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's never been seen before in Sweden, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we have some other friends in Gothenburg and.
What is your friend's? What is your friend's name again from the last meeting? There, he sent me that email. What was his name?
Robert.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. So this is my car.
Amazing.
Yeah, with
Thank you for showing it. And you also have a different driver's license from common court, common law court.
I don't have a driver's license at all. I sent it back to the state.
Good. So you, instead of that, you have a piece of paper that's of course not called a driver's license, because then you're in the loop if you call yourself.
Oh, you have the yellow card there, the yellow member card.
That you have to use instead of a driver's license.
I have one. I can show.
What I did was I called the Transportstyrelsen and asked them to send me a confirmation of my what do you call it? Behörighet. It would be like a proof of knowledge or something like that, because everyone has actually gone to a driver's school and learned how to operate this private motorized conveyance. And the knowledge is something that nobody can take away from you. Your thoughts and your knowledge cannot be taken away. What they can take away is a privilege. They can take away the license, but they can't take away the knowledge. And if I, according to not only the human rights, but also other conventions, have a right to freedom of movement, who's going to stop me from moving from point A to point B in any way I want? It says you have freedom of movement. not only by walking or bicycle or a freaking tricycle.
Also, even under EU law, if we should go down a notch and just be slaves.
Say again?
Even under, as we learn in school, all the tricks they put upon us, if there's free movement within the EU, complete free movement. I know it's down in their multiple law system that I don't want to go to, but
if you look at the system of the European Union, they say you have freedom of movement within this union just because different states decided to open up the prison walls between the states and let you pass from one prison to another. But in fact, under the Universal Postal Union, and remember, it's universal, it's not international, it's not
even on Earth, it's the universe.
Exactly, it's Universal Postal Union. According to their postal laws, they created a single postal territory of the whole Earth, and they guarantee freedom of movement throughout the Union.
Where can you find that?
In the postal laws. Just Google UPU and look under their conventions and their...
Beautiful, amazing.
Yeah. So we have freedom, they guarantee freedom of movement within their jurisdiction. And their jurisdiction is when you put some stamps and you autograph the stamps, you cancel the stamps with an autograph and a thumbprint, and you put yourself or your document in their jurisdiction. And because their jurisdiction was created by treaty, it stands under international law. So it's much, much higher law than any local bullshit, bylaw that is in any country.
And you call these you call the Ministry of Transportation in Sweden and asked...
Yeah, just to send me a paper with my knowledge, basically, that I'm approved to do this, that I passed the tests to do that.
When you took the
shows that I have the knowledge how to operate it, but I don't recognize their license by definition. So I asked them to stamp it and autograph the stamp, which they did, and send it home to me.
Went to driving school when you took the license.
Exactly. So
I didn't know that.
What's that?
What did you got them to sign your stamp? Could you say that again?
No. I asked them to send this paper home to me, but it had to be stamped and autographed by them.
Oh, okay.
Saying that you went to driving school.
To prove the correctness or the validity of the paper, because otherwise maybe I could make up such a paper at home. So I wanted their stamp and their autograph on the stamp.
And is that what you show instead of a driver's license?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And I've also taken out the slave number from this paper. I struck it over.
So when they put your social security number, you just wipe that out.
Yeah, what it says.
No.
If they put in the slave number, they will probably get all the documentations no matter what. But when I identify myself with my world passport, and
can I see that again, Sebastian? Unless there's something you don't want to show.
No. It's my world passport.
It's upside down.
Wrong way.
World passport. And could you show it again? This is really interesting. Thank you for doing this, Sebastian. It gives hope to all of us.
This is the world passport.
There's no social security number on there?
No social security number, no nationality, no citizenship, nothing. Perfect. Just the place of birth, the date of birth, and your name. And your name can also be spelled as you spell it in your live life claim, which is basically a contract contracting you to the state of living.
Yes, I have the world passport also, and I have been promoting that also to Sebastian. It's international. It's under a Geneva Convention of 1969, the right to travel of sovereign living men and women.
Amazing. So when you're stopped in your car, which you will be because you got these weird looking plates, you show your passport and the transportation paper saying that you went to driver's license.
Exactly. And the names match. The names on the paper and in this, they match.
And is it written?
Shows that I am that individual, but I'm not the person because I struck out the personal number. And the police get absolutely fucking violent when you don't want to give them a slave number because it takes away their jurisdiction over you.
Exactly.
So the last time they stopped me, I didn't show that. And this woman, she asked me a single question: "Is this your car?" And I didn't say yes or no, because if you say yes to the word car, it puts you in their jurisdiction.
Exactly.
It's one of their terms.
Vehicle, can you say that?
No, private conveyance, I think, is the best.
Okay.
And you can't also say no, because if you say no, then they're going to have to, so it's not yours, it's stolen, you know, so you go into verbal combat with them.
Okay.
So you just say, this is my private conveyance and I'm traveling in private capacity. That's it. And she didn't see she didn't ask anymore for a driver's license. She didn't even ask me to blow in this freaking machine to see if I had been drinking or not. She just said, have a good day. And the whole thing took 15 seconds and I was out of there.
It's really true what Bibi said, that 90% of all police officers knows what's going on. And for me, it's so hard to understand that they would know that. But this, or maybe she doesn't know the full picture, but she knows if you don't say yes or no to it being your car, she can't touch you. If you don't show your driver's license, if you don't become a person,
yeah,
she knows that. That's, to me, is just mind blowing.
Mm-hmm.
She's just an ordinary little whatever, 20-something police officer, not an old officer or general or whatever they're called when they've been there for a while.
Well, some of them know a lot more than they appear to know, because I was actually at the local post office here, which, the post offices nowadays is in a food store at the counter. And I asked this really young woman, she must have been in her 20s, what happens if I cancel a stamp with my autograph and I put my thumbprint on it? And immediately she said, you become the postmaster of that document.
She said,
my people don't say that.
She was in her 20s, 25, 26 or something like that. And she knew, I become the postmaster. And that's really
shocking. Those words?
Yeah. She said exactly those words. You become the postmaster of that document.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when you, for example, send a letter and you put stamps on it and you autograph and you thumbprint and all of that, then the post office doesn't do anything more with that, with that envelope. They don't put anything else on it, because you've already taken the position on the envelope. Because if you just put stamps on it and you give it to them, they will cancel the stamps and they become the postmaster of that document. But if you cancel the stamps, you become.
I've noticed one thing, because I'm returning all these letters, and when I get a letter that is really important and one of the things I didn't pay, there is never any stamp on it. There's no date. There's nothing on it. There's these little numbers and a QR code that I start scanning in, and now I see patterns in the numbers, but there's never any stamp on the real important ones where I know they're trying to scam me, right? No stamps.
Mm.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mail fraud, because you're not allowed to use this pre-printed stamping machine. It's in the UPU regulations.
The pre-printed, the pay-a-porter, PP.
Yeah, that's not allowed. That's mail fraud too.
I know it's mail fraud, but I'm wondering why there's never a date stamp. I can't see any date. I know it's on purpose. I just found out that there's no date on it.
In the Swedish mail system, it's a barcode.
Yeah, is that?
I received a letter from the court, and I took the letter to the post office to have it scanned to see exactly when it was processed. It was not processed when the court say they actually sent it to me, which shows the court is in fraud.
And those are those little lines that go like this.
Yes.
And you can, because in my supermarket, they're kicking me. They really don't like me because I started filming and recording what they're saying, and they have these masks on, so they don't like me. But I could go to them, my Futex supermarket thingy, and ask them to scan it, or does it have to be a post office?
No. You have to go to the technical guy at the post terminal.
Okay, yeah, and have it.
I went to the post terminal here, and they took me to like third floor or something. There's a guy with
to have it scanned,
machines, and they can read all of that.
This is so interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
I just want to show that you can use, and I think you were actually using this, Sebastian. This is from the.
Hey, you can see it because of your back. Now, there it is.
This is from the common law court.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And it says also my name in quantum here. And it's got these numbers for the birth certificate, and it's got the number for the fictitious name.
It's got the number for the birth certificate. Could you explain that?
Yeah, so when you you enter your birth record in the book of deeds at the common law court,
law website, yes.
Website, yeah. So you get this number, BC for birth certificate, you get FN for fictitious name. And what Sebastian did, he did with his car, and I did with my car too. And I made this card myself. And you can see here it's UCC1. That's an MV number down here, motor vehicle. Okay, that's the number you get from the system in the common law court too. And you scan this code here, you go straight to the website where you can see this motor vehicle is registered or in their book of deeds.
Amazing.
So I made this, and I have this in my window, and then I have on the back side here cancel stamp.
Why is it red?
Yeah, this was a little test. I wanted to try and do a red one.
It should be blue, right?
It should be blue because that's maritime law. Here I have my C-Pass. You can also use that for identification. You see there's a stamp here on the front that is cancelled out too. And the C-Pass is really your own document. This is also my own document. This is really not my document because I didn't issue it. Wow. And all these IDs have the same in common, which is basic information that is maritime law requirement. There has to be a date of issue. There has to be a picture that looks like you. And the same with this one. So this is a maritime ID card, and you can make your own.
Interesting. I still can't believe that woman said you become the postmaster, because these things sound so like crazy.
Yeah, some of them know. Some of them don't want to know. They don't care.
Wow.
And that's a problem here, because I took off the Swedish registration plates and I sent them back to the state and asked them to shove it where the sun don't shine. And no, literally I did. And they don't want to actually unregister the vehicle from their databases, even though I said this vehicle is now exported to a different jurisdiction. And they keep bitching about, oh, you have to send proof of export, like, some kind of paper from a transporter that he came and picked up the car, and like, you don't fucking get it. It's
you
a different.
Just send an affidavit yourself, right?
Exactly, yeah. So they keep sending me these invoices to pay the fee for registration, which is just 65 Swedish crowns a year. It's nothing, but it's a principle. How am I going to
bind you? It tricks you.
Which is not here anymore in your registration, in your jurisdiction.
Yeah, you can't pay for registration when you're unregistering it.
Exactly. And the thing is, once you take off the license plates from the property, there is no attachment anymore.
Once you take there's no joinder. Once you take their plates off your car, there's no,
So how can they maintain the registration of a property in their databases when the number that represents that property is actually in their possession because I sent it back to them? So the plates are probably at their office somewhere. The property is here. How can they keep sending?
Because if you pay it, then you're doomed again. They're just trying to trick you into saying, wow, that's cheap. Let me pay that. I'm off the hook. And then you're under them again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can show, if you want, I can show the paper to export the car out of the jurisdiction.
Would that be okay? That'd be brilliant to see.
It's not Sebastian's. It's just handwritten.
Okay.
Can you see
Sebastian Henrik explained to me what you did, and I asked, but there's nothing you can choose.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I did with the Swedish one as well. Yeah.
Amazing, guys. This is brilliant information. I am so thrilled that you're sharing it.
I'm showing this because you gotta see it, because you don't. Otherwise, you don't believe it. It's
and can
really...
you tell me what it says? Can you go back to it, Henrik, and say what's written?
I don't read Swedish, but maybe Sebastian can help me.
I know it's my friend's. It's my friend's paper. Yeah, bekräftelse. I hereby confirm. Just let me read. Okay. So he wants confirmation from the Board of Transport for this export to be sent to his email address.
Is it written in quantum?
He crossed in export, and he's requesting them to confirm the export via email to this email. And then underneath he says export to jurisdiction, common law court.
Exactly.
So,
that's common law court, the website. That's the, And is it written in semi-quantum, since there is these...
yeah, I think he wanted to do some kind of...
a little bit of quantum. But wouldn't you say that when you do your signature like that, that's a mistake? It should be an autograph? Or
no,
what?
Not really, actually, because this transportation proof of ownership is owned by the fictitious person. So you have to write on the behalf of the fictitious person that this car is now exported.
So what if you wrote it in all glossa? Because we learned that you cannot, that means nothing when you can't read it. You're just like saying you're nothing.
This signature, I think it's Anna von Reitz that explains this really well, that this type of signature is called a corporate signature.
Oh, okay.
Right, Henrik?
Okay. Yes, it is David Wynn Miller that was trying to explain that the cursive that you learn to write in school, it's not actually a word because the letters are connected. And when you write, and you see the alphabet, the letters are not connected. When you connect the letters, you're just making a scribble. You're just making a graphic something.
Yeah, like a drawing.
Of something. It could be anything. A doodle.
But
this is a doodle. So it's just a graphic. It's not a word. It's just artwork, really.
But this piece of paper worked for the guy that made it.
Yeah.
Yes, because I got the picture of the email.
And for me, it really made sense that you can go, because I've always asked the question, do we have common law in Denmark? And I'm so programmed. And when I learned this, then common law is everywhere when you say you want to be under common law, but you got to claim it. So common law is everywhere, not just the Commonwealth countries as we learn in school.
Yeah, so it worked for him, but it didn't work for me. They still want to maintain the private property in their databases, and they want me to pay for the registration fee. It's like, how can you maintain something in your database if you actually now possess the number which is representing this?
Yeah, the number plate. But Sebastian, it works because you're driving around in your car.
Yeah, exactly. So practically
they're just denying the facts, like when they send you a bill that's not, really due.
Exactly.
There is
it's not a true bill.
But the guy who wrote the other one, he got confirmation, and they're not hassling him with paying for registration like they are with you. So did he get another confirmation that you didn't get, that it worked?
Well, he got the confirmation from them that is now exported, and they deleted it.
Because he asked for it in the little. So you forgot maybe to ask for the confirmation via email.
And I think that after that, somebody at that freaking office kind of woke up and realized, holy shit, we're losing money here. We cannot keep exporting cars to.
Oh, so they stopped it for you because he did it, and that's what I hear all the time. They changed their methods, so we both win and then we lose because then they are onto us. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Were you showing something, Henrik?
Yes, this is from the common law court. There's an instruction how you get your car into their jurisdiction, into the common law jurisdiction. It's just a base. You could download this from the common law website.
I was actually a little suspicious when I saw the common law court website because there is no, like, who is this? Who are making this? But now I know that it works and it's amazing.
Yeah, the people, the 100 people that signed, you can see the actual document. They have signed all of them. So the common law is 100 people.
Yeah.
And it's just a man called John Smith.
The common law court.
That is running, you could say that. And there's this legal notice also you get from the site once you put your conveyance into their database. You get this sticker too.
So tell me again, what are you showing here, Henrik?
This is the common law court's instruction, 8-page document that you can download.
And it instructs you to when you travel.
How you do what Sebastian just mentioned.
Perfect. Amazing work. Amazing work.
Template to notify local police.
And I just want to say to the audience who are not into all of this yet that the way I understand it is that anybody can actually make a court. You can make your own tribunal.
The people are the court.
Huh?
The people are the court.
Exactly. Also that. And and that's what's been done here with living men and women, which is a higher jurisdiction than any of their fictitious.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there is no judge. When you go to court, there is no judge. It's a magistrate. Someone that does magic tricks to trick you into their jurisdiction and steal your life away.
It's an administrator, actually. If you get this common law court, common law handbook here, there's a couple of things in the back of here that says things you need to know. Like, for example, you see behind me those flags. They're in Manhattan, in front of the UN building. Now, when Giuliani, he was a mayor, he said New York is really the United Nations. And he was right. It's in the book here too. The New York is not part of the United States. It is the United Nations.
Wow.
It's the territory of the United Nations. It's not the territory of the United States. It's in the book. Yeah. So you live in New York. You live in the United Nations.
Amazing. Crazy. So much. But what you guys are doing with the number plates and and just taking them on, it's really, really amazing. And in a way, it's kind of stupid because people are attracted to this because they just don't want to pay. You know, we have something called vægtafgift in Denmark, and even my children know that it's a crime, right? It's just something bogus. And the way that, so we all want to get out of paying these fees, but it's also a higher truth. So it's kind of like, how can I not pay parking tickets? And then you have this whole long journey of understanding to be sovereign, but you got to get it in your heart and your mind and try it out. And then there's no quick fix. But it's amazing that you're able to.
The quick fix is stop playing by the rules. We got to stop playing the game. That's the whole thing.
How long have you been driving with the CLC number plates?
For a couple of years now.
Okay. And you get stopped here and there, but then when you don't say yes to that, it's your car. And you got to be really sharp on that.
He's our big hero on that one. He went to Denmark just a couple of week or 2 weeks ago.
I drove through Denmark.
What did they say?
Well, initially they got really curious. When I came from Sweden to Denmark, the first question is, do you have a corona test? And it's like, no, I don't. I'm traveling in private capacity. I'm not part of your jurisdiction. And then he immediately reacted on the plates of the car. He was like, but where's the car from? I said, this is my private conveyance. I'm traveling.
Did you say driving? Is it okay to say driving?
Well, I'm traveling. I'm traveling.
Travel, yes, okay, yes, traveling.
And he's like, yeah, but where's the car from? Why doesn't it have 3 letters and 3 numbers and this and that? And he asked a lot of questions like, where is it registered and all of that. And finally, I kind of flipped on him and said, it's a different jurisdiction. You don't understand it. And he's like, okay, drive on.
Amazing. And when was this?
In Helsingør, off the ferry.
Yeah, and this was like during all the corona that's still going on.
2 weeks ago.
Amazing.
So he forgot all about the corona. He forgot all about that. He was really interested in the car. I told him, I mean, it's a different jurisdiction. If you don't get it, you don't get it. That's it. It's like, okay, drive on.
Yeah, and we're in the private jurisdiction. Has nothing to do with you. You're in the private. You're in the public.
And I kind of got out of there really quick as well because I didn't want any more of these.
Yeah, because they can get really angry.
Be attracted to the discussion,
Yeah, they can tow you over. They can do that that's why you got to be really strong in your own understanding of it, right? You can't just try this without really getting to grips with what it is.
Yeah, you got to have it in your soul, in your mind.
Exactly.
That this is what I am. This is how I'm acting in this world.
Yeah.
I don't want a free lunch from anybody. I don't pay road taxes in Denmark. So when I came to this long bridge that you have over there to the island, whatever, I pay for the bridge. It's like, yeah, I don't pay taxes. I want to use the bridge. Someone actually had to build the goddamn bridge. I want to use it. So I got to pay for it.
The bridge actually been paid off. So it's just another tax, but that's a different
thing. Of course. But I'm just saying, but if you live there and they steal your life and labor in the form of taxes and they pay for everything, and then you have to pay for the goddamn bridge, that get me pissed off,
Yeah, but you're traveling through.
So I pay for whatever I use when I use it. That's the same thing with my kids. I went to my kids' school and I asked the principal, what is your budget per child that goes here? And she said 3,600 crowns per month. Okay, send me an invoice and I'll pay it because I'm not paying taxes. I want my kid to go to school. I got to pay for it. That's it. I'm not.
You're actually paying more because it's government subsidized. My kids go to a private school and it's 4 times the amount. So when it's in LA, at Waldorf costs 20,000, but in Denmark it's like 3,000 or 4,000.
Well, 3,600 is the budget they have. So that's the money she's using per month per kid. So whether it's subsidized or not, I don't really care, because the budget that she presented is the money that she's getting from the state per child. It's not like, we have a budget of let's say 15,000, but you would have to pay 3,600. No.
So you're the only one paying the school money for your kid.
Yeah.
Amazing. And that's what it takes to be sovereign, because once you start taking their benefits, you're in contract.
Exactly. I'm not looking for any benefits. I will take care of myself and my family. And because, the thing is also, okay, now I have kids that go to school. In a few years, they'll be out of school. So I'm out of this phase of life. Then comes the next phase of life, which will be whatever it will be, looking for paying off the house faster, to secure a pension or whatever. But life has phases. Every phase has its costs and its responsibilities. And to be truly sovereign is really about taking responsibility for whatever you do in your life, not stealing, not harming anybody, not doing any of that, but just being left alone to do whatever you want.
Sebastian, do you own your house? Like truly own it? Because that's the one thing.
No, we still have a loan on the house.
But But does it matter with the loan, even if it's paid out and they can claim property taxes? I heard something about you don't really own your house.
Yeah, exactly. No, you never own your house if you're in the system. But Henrik and I are working on that as well.
Yes, we're working on that at the Sovereign. Well, it was me and Sebastian and a group. We are working on all these, and I have like the study group in the UK. Sebastian is part of that too. So we are pathfinders, you can say, and we're really walking the tough grass here. Just on the car, just important. On that license plate you can order it online. You can put your own little text in there. And like I have on this paper here, it says, very specific, you need, this conveyance is for private, non-commercial use only under the international common law jurisdiction.
Exactly.
Very important that it's a non-commercial.
Let me explain that to the audience. And Henrik, you're my mentor. You can interrupt if I'm saying something wrong, but maybe I can explain it to the people who don't know. When you're not in commerce, you're just a private person and you can't be bound by a contract, because a living man or woman can't be bound. Just like a company is another party of a contract, a person can be bound by these contracts and by these laws. So when you're not in their commercial world, you're not in their jurisdiction, I'd say it. That's why we're not in commerce. And that's why you can travel, but not drive, because driving is something you do when you're in commerce. That means doing business. So we're treated like we're doing business all the time.
Yes, and it's the straw man that is involved in the contract. That's why in the common law court, you separate yourself and the straw man, and now you're not the straw man.
Yeah.
And that's what this is about.
Exactly. So you'll hear this a lot of times, and there's good information out there about that. But amazing story, amazing with the soul, Sebastian. I've thought about it so many times. It was like your aha moment was just, wow, amazing. What else can you tell the audience about yourself and how you're living, because the documents and the drive is not that important. It's more a whole life story, right? Or a legacy.
Exactly. Those are the little details. And I was thinking about that as well. It might even be that they let some people get away with that because it's such a minor detail of life, and they catch you by so many other things which they can make far more money on. Because you have to understand, everything that you receive from them, even correspondence and all of that, is basically a financial instrument with your name on it, and the name is put in the trust corpus of the Sestake Trust as collateral, and they're hypothecating you to left and right. And to hypothecate something is basically to pledge that property to be used by someone else, but without the delivery or of the actual possession. So they sell your life and labor in all kinds of constructs, but they don't deliver the title of you. So they maintain the title of you at all times. So
that's a little complicated. Could you tell me that word again?
Hypothecated.
Hypothecated, like a hypothesis, something that they like kind of claim out of it.
When you buy a house, they call it, it's a hypotheek loan.
Yeah, I remember that.
We had Hypotekbanken in Denmark. Yes.
Yeah, that was the first like tax authority thing, something that could just take your money.
That's what they're doing that to hypothecate is what they do with your life and labor within the trust, where you are the grantor. You're the one granting them your life and labor without knowing it, of course. And the thing is, they create this trust where they put themselves as the trustee and the beneficiary. And you see, that's not possible, because when someone holds two positions in a trust, it's called a unity of elements. And when unity of elements happens in a trust, the trust collapses and becomes a financial instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
like a one-sided promissory note thing.
Yeah, exactly. So this financial instrument is then sold left and right, and they send you the bill. They say, give us the money.
So they destroy the trust on purpose so that they can just trade the financial instrument that it becomes. Exactly. But you're in fact the trustee, because you're giving over something. You just don't know it. You create the trust.
No, you're the grantor. You're the grantor. Then they put the administrator in place to manage this trust. So like a judge or something like that, which is nothing more than an administrator. And then there is a beneficiary. But see, the problem is, as in the Swedish courts, this so-called judge is appointed by the government.
So no. He or she is appointed by the clerk of the court. He's the administrator. He or she is the administrator. So when a case comes to the court, who receives it? The clerk. The clerk assigns the judge. So he's the administrator of the trust. He assigns the judge to then be the beneficiary.
But can I ask you something, guys? In my little understanding, when this starts out, am I not the truster that gives away something to be trusted, to be held by someone? In the very beginning, like God or universe created earth, and you give something over, something, an estate or something. So I'm, to begin with, the one who trusts somebody with something.
No, because it was your mother when she signed the birth certificate at the birth record at the hospital, or wherever you were at home, where you were born.
She creates the trust.
She assigns you over. She gives the right of the child.
She trusts the government with me, and then they can do whatever they want, but I'm still the beneficiary of my estate.
That's why we need to stand up and create our own life claim, because whatever you created is yours by law, and no one can ever take that away from you. Make sure you get that. What you create and make is yours lawfully. No one can take it away without your consent. So your life claim is your document. You created it. You're the author. They can never take it away from you.
The created cannot be above creator. That's what really.
And that is your claim. So the fact that your mother gave you away, you were not aware. You were not cognizant of that. So once you become cognizant, you become adult, you become of proper age, you do your claim, you take control, you take back your life. And now the title is yours because you made it. The birth certificate belongs to the issuer, which is in this case the state.
You want to give the number plates back, you want to give the birth certificate back, you just want to give
So you surrender your birth certificate.
Did you send that back? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
No, you give back, you surrender the birth certificate. And you endorse it on the backside, just like with the stamp. Okay, because that title is issued by the state. So you get this is a standing, correcting your standing and your political status. Really, that's what it is, and that's what Sebastian was talking about before.
Yeah, your status. Do you also send back your driver's license? You should, right?
There is two ways to do that. You can send it back, or because it is issued and your name is on it, what you can do is, and I've done this, and this is some David Windmiller instruction also, you make a joinder with your CPAS. You attach physically the license at the bottom here. See if I can show that like this. Okay. And again, the stamp on the back side there. So you have now done a salvage claim, because this is a higher jurisdiction, the CPAS, because it's postal. And you do a salvage claim from the lower jurisdiction of the state. And now you're towing your own license behind. So taking it out of their jurisdiction.
Did you do that too, Sebastian?
No, I sent it back.
You sent it back, yeah. It's kind
I
of
want nothing to do with the state or any ID created by the state, because I actually went to the police station and had a talk with the chief there, and I put the driver's license on the table, and I asked him, how was this created?
You said that to the police?
Yeah. Yeah, I went to the police station and I asked them, how was this document created? What have you used as a basis for creating this document? Did you use my birth certificate or what did you use? Well, they can't use the birth certificates because in Sweden they don't give out those, and they don't have my original from Romania. So he didn't know. He said, I don't know.
So usually they would use the birth certificate, but because you're from Romania.
No, they don't use it. It's all fictitious.
Okay.
But that's why I asked him to prove to himself that this document is a fraud. Because if you haven't used any correct information to begin with, how was it created? By fraud, of course. So he said, I don't know what they used as a basis to create this document. And I said, okay, fine. But then why do you spell my name within all capital letters? And he said, well, I guess it's because so everyone would understand the language, the letters, to see the letters.
Was he lying or?
I said, no, it's actually called nom de guerre. It's a French expression that started back in the 1700s, where they capitalized the names of all soldiers that went out to war. And all those soldiers were basically declared dead upon going out to war. And if they returned back from war, they would then regain the correct status of a living man, and they were revested with the title of their property. This was later turned into a business idea by the state corporations to declare everybody dead from the beginning to manage their property. But anyway, it's called nom de guerre.
Nom de guerre, okay.
Yeah. And
but did the police officer lie to you, or is that what he thought?
No, he doesn't know how they create the documents. He has
he wasn't an officer. He was the police chief.
Exactly, it was the chief of the legislation.
Exactly. Yeah,
but he's also the one that confirmed to you, or at least that's when I'm telling you a story, and I hope I'm not distorting it, that you got confirmation from the police the first time they took your papers in possession. Then you got confirmation that from the police chief that it's okay to drive with these number plates and have that.
No. I never asked him for permission.
You never asked him, okay. But they took it and you got it back.
This was a discussion I had with them previously, before I even changed the plates.
Okay.
It was just a discussion about how was this document created, which they call a driver's license. And first of all, he didn't know what they were using to create the license. Second of all, I asked him about the name. He didn't know why it was spelled in all capital letters. And then I showed him that it's actually a nom de guerre, the name of a dead one. And according to maritime law, and also to the US printing manual, when you want to identify ships and dead persons, you write their name with capital letters. So we're either a ship or a dead person in all caps, all cap letters. And then I asked him about the number, but I said, what is this number here? And there he became really proud and really, oh, that's your personal number, personnummer. I was like, no, it's not. I was never part of creating this number. I was never accepting this number. It's a number that was somehow attached to me by you guys, which I denounce. I want nothing to do with this number. This is not my number. And I told him what I think. I think it's a slave number. And he really opened up his eyes. He was like, holy shit, man, this guy is really angry about the system. Anyway, I said, I don't want this anymore, so I will send it back to Transportstyrelsen, and then I did. And that was the end of that day.
Can I just ask you, the reason you asked the chief of police, was that because in Denmark, this is the issuing authority? It's actually the police chief, it says here. Is that the same in Sweden?
Exactly.
Okay. So you went to the guy who actually is you went to the guy who's actually responsible for issuing these in Sweden. Yeah. Great.
Exactly.
Great move. I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing that.
Another thing is when they called me to the police station once, because they had a letter from me from one of the institutions of Sweden, one of these corporations. And because I refused to receive letters from them, they sent it to the police, and they asked the police to personally deliver this letter to me to make sure that I receive it, And so he calls me up. He's like, I have a letter for you, and would you like us to come out, or would you come in? And I said, no, I can come in tomorrow. I have, driving by anyway, coming by. So I stepped in there and I identified myself with my live life claim, and he had a long look at it. The funny thing is, he was really curious about it. So I had to explain everything, and he was like, wow, this is cool, man. Here's your letter, That was really cool. So he kind of acknowledged the live life claim as my true identity card.
What about the letter? Then you're in contract if you received the letter.
No, I don't give a shit. I sent it back to them anyway.
Okay, so you got it unopened. Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
And that's to me, I have no clue what it says inside the letters. I'm sitting there with a lamp trying to figure it out.
Don't care. I don't have a contract with them. I send it back.
But I'd like to know which of my cases are going in what direction to know, like, where am I in this case?
It's not your cases, because all these cases are connected to your social security number, which is their number.
Yeah, I just like
so it has nothing to do with you unless you want it to.
I just want to know what works. If I got both vægtafgift, SU-lån, I got so many things. I like to test one at a time and know that, because it's new to me. But I've started scanning in the little barcodes and writing all the numbers down on the envelopes and seeing a pattern or something. So at least I know that. It seems crazy to send things back, but it's the way to go.
Yeah, because we don't accept their offer to contract.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
I do the same. I send back their letters. I can show you what it looks like.
You were going to show me, because we're talking about
the postmaster. I sent to the Postmaster General in Denmark several times about the mail fraud and everything. But of course, he's not doing anything about it. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take it up one notch within their own system and have them prosecute all these fraudulent companies.
The UPU in Switzerland?
No, actually, the federal government, the administration of the federal government is in Washington, D.C. So it's the Postmaster General in the U.S. under the federal government,
Because UPU is doing it, so we can't go to them about it.
Well, I can actually show you something I'm writing to the court right now. Henrik has already seen it, but I've added a little bit more to it if you want.
Yeah, I'd love
to show you what I'm doing here. Let's see if I can share the screen.
And when you say the court, it's their business centers.
Yeah. Okay, do you see my screen now?
Yeah, I see. And you write in plain English.
Yeah, so this is a letter I'm composing for the court right now. In this case that they're running against me. And I say, as I comprehend this process, the prosecutor files a criminal charge with the clerk and against the trust, referring to the all caps name or any variation thereof. And this is the thing, they write the last name first and then comma and then your name, or they write, they have a million variations of your name. No matter which variation, it's a corporation they're sending to. So the court clerk, who is the administrator of the Sestake Trust, then appoints you magistrate, his name is Daniel Haraldsson, as the trustee for the trust. And since neither of you can be beneficiary, that leaves I, the living being, Sebastian Florin, as beneficiary. Therefore, you're my trustee. So as my trustee, I instruct you to discharge this entire matter with prejudice and award the penalties for these crimes to be paid to me in compensation and damages.
And you're saying with prejudice because you're so sure of yourself that it has to remain in the future.
Yeah.
Exactly. With prejudice.
I am the beneficiary. There's no discussion about that. So
prejudice means they can't take it up again, right? It cannot be opened.
Exactly. It becomes a prejudicat, a prejudice for future cases that are just the same. So I, Sebastian Florin, declare and decree that the Sestake V was never abandoned, neither lost beyond sea, and can heretofore not be with the presumption of the dead. They're presuming I'm still dead, and I'm telling them in clear, plain freaking language, I was never dead, so stop presuming me dead.
Can I ask something?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I, Sebastian Florin, declare and decree that I am with this now time removing my life and labor as collateral from all fraudulent, fictitious, presumed contracts with all state corporations, and instruct my trustee to revest all titles with the Sestake V from the Sestake Trust back to the Sestake V in accordance with Article 4 of the Sestake V Act.
Yeah, the one from London, from England.
Yeah, which says If the supposed dead man proved to be alive, then the title is revested. It goes back to me as a living then, which is exactly what I told you was happening back in the early 1700s in France, where the expression comes from with the nom de guerre.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I further instruct my trustee to correspond by registered mail towards the living man by this specific method. Mm-hmm. So this is the only mail that I will accept. Because
and you don't have a postal number there.
No, there is no postal number because I'm not a
under
resident.
Their jurisdiction.
Yeah, I'm not a resident. Only residents have postal number because the postal number is called a zip code.
Exactly.
It comes from the military as a zone improvement plan.
Zone improvement plan.
Zone improvement plan. That's the zip code.
Improvement.
Zone. A zone.
Zone. I got it. Yeah, zone. Sorry. And I heard a judge say that they have jurisdiction over you because you have a zip code.
Maybe they're using all kinds of tricks and traps,
so no zip code.
I'm trying not to give any excuse.
Okay, so what I do is I write the zip code, but I write it in brackets, so I take it off the page. Or you can write near and then brackets, because then it's that area.
Can I ask one annoying thing, Sebastian? Because I get it, and I love that you've written it in plain English, but wouldn't that be perjury? Like the whole thing, if it's not in quantum, or is that just a different matter?
It would be, but you know what? They're not using quantum either. And for me to do that, it takes so much time and energy because I'm not that good at quantum. I could try to do it. I'd probably have to send it to Henrik a few times for correction or something. But in the end of it, why?
You're speaking person to all of these people, person to person, or not person to person, but you living being to living being. You're just communicating something.
Exactly. And I'm thinking also about another thing, back in the 1600s when they were doing all of this with the Sesta K, because Article 4 in the Sesta KV Act gives you an exit from the slavery. It gives you the exit by saying that if the supposed dead man proved to be alive, then the title is revested. You're out. You have proved to be alive. Do you think that people in the 1600s had the intellectual capacity to write a letter according to all the bells and whistles and tricks and traps of the system to be able to get out?
Yeah.
If this was truly an exit meant for the people, it means it had to be accepted at the level they were at the time.
Yeah.
Not to say that we're much more intelligent today or that we have studied more grammar or anything like that, but if this was supposed to be for living men and women, then I just have to tell him my free will, my intention, my thoughts, my mentas, and they have to accept it. Because this canon law 2057 says that if any administrator refuses to, I have it up here somewhere.
And that dates further back to when the church took over, right? That's way back in, church canon law. So that's before 1666.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's way back in the 1300s.
So the whole point, I just want to say to the listener, and you guys can correct me because I'm new to this, sestig means he who lives. And it's actually also a modern instrument in the pension world, in the trading world. We still have that. And it just means that he who lives. And the point of the sestig was that the government took over your estate until you came and said, hey, I'm here, I'm living. And they were just, taking care of it for you.
Yeah.
Just like your brother took care of your things when you were away.
And I think there is a misconception amongst people that there's a lot of people calling this the Sesta KV trust. There is no such thing as a Sesta KV trust. There is a Sesta KV and a Sesta K trust.
Yeah.
The Sesta K trust is the trust where you, as the fictitious person, grant them the life and labor of yourself as living.
Say that again. There's the Sestic trust.
There is the Sesta KV and the Sesta K trust.
Okay, so there's no V in the trust. There's the Sestic
V. The V comes from being alive. So this is the trust of the living, like you said, the one who lives.
Yeah.
And the Sesta K trust is made in the name of the decedent.
Sestic, there's no V, there's no living. That's the French word for living. So Sestic trust.
Yeah. And the
just means he who is trust.
In the name of the decedent. And a decedent is one who is in the act of dying. You haven't died yet, you're in the act of dying.
But it doesn't say die in that phrase. Sestic trust. There's no dying, is there?
Well, the whole trust thing is
yeah, trusting is something you take, or at least you've somebody who can't handle their own shit or their own estate or their own lives.
Yeah.
So it comes from the trust.
But
okay.
Anyway, so there is this law, Canon Law 2057, that says any administrator that refuses to immediately dissolve a Sesta KV, in parentheses, or trust upon a person establishing their status and competency is guilty of fraud and fundamental breach of their fiduciary duties, requiring their immediate removal and punishment.
Yes.
So,
and they listen to that.
I think I'm just going to send this to court just as an instruction of this is what I want you to do, basically, you know. But
and can I ask what that case is about?
Yeah. I used to have a company, a corporation, which of course I made way back in the days, in the early 2000s, when I didn't know anything. And because I was out flying for the last 10 years, I didn't have much time to do any business. I didn't have much time to manage the thing. So it was basically a company which was at rest. We call it Vilande. But even as such, you still had to send to the government your yearly reports. And those yearly reports, of course, had to be made by an accountant because it was a stock shareholder company where I was the only shareholder. And it cost a bunch of money. It cost like 16,000 a year. So back in 2017, I wrote to this Bolagsverket, the entity that manages all corporations. And I told them, look, I'd love to send a report, but it doesn't do itself. I have to have an accountant to do it, and he charges 16,000 a year. And as you are the one ordering or receiving benefit from the service, you should be the one who pays the cost, because I'm not doing any business. I'm not making any money. So I sent them an invoice. I said, here's the invoice. As soon as you pay it, I'm going to send the report to you.
I love it.
Well, they never sent the money, so I never sent the report. So we started arguing back and forth about this. And I said, no, I'm out of this. Show me the contract. I told them, show me the valid contract that binds me to the obligation of providing you this service.
From an accountant, and not just from you.
And they never supplied the contract. They never provided a contract because there is no contract between the corporation that is created and them. A valid contract requires 2 or more parties to
and also living beings. That's another point.
And it also requires that there's 2 equal parties. Well, I'm not equal parties to the government, so we cannot.
It.
Yeah, well, we're not equal anyway, so we cannot create a contract even if we wanted to, basically.
That's an interesting point.
So I told them, provide a valid contract or I'm out of this. And they, we argued over a year over this, and they never provided a contract. So finally in 2018, I think it was August 15 or something like that, I declared the company to be dead. So I sent a death declaration to the government for this company. And I said, erase it from your databases because it's not dead. They sent me back a letter which removes me as the administrator or the owner of the company. So
that's
they
what they can do.
Company. And they said, we have to liquidate it. And I'm like, I'm not going to liquidate. I'm not going to pay a lawyer to liquidate something which I created. Because according to a maxim of law, like Henrik was discussing before, that which one creates, one controls.
And maximum law is the same as natural law, right?
No, it's called a maxim. M-A-X-I-M. It's like a phrase that you use.
Yeah, I heard it before. Yeah.
So anyway, they didn't accept my death declaration. They said I had to liquidate the company, and I said I'm not going to pay anybody 100,000 to liquidate something just so you can have your papers in order. If you want to liquidate it, you do whatever you want with your company, and then the whole circus started. So they sent it to court. They sent it to first they sent it to a lawyer, a bankruptcy lawyer. He put it in bankruptcy. He sent it to court. The court sent it to a liquidator.
Who paid him?
The liquidator sent it on and on and on. And now there are like 6 parties involved in this circus, out of which I'm not a party because they themselves removed my name from the company.
Yeah, that's the first thing they do.
What the hell do I have to do with all of this shit, you know?
I'm not CEO of that. You're CEO.
No, definitely not. And even the fraud is one step deeper, because if they truly claim that this is my company, then I would have something to say in regards of the change of ownership. They took me out of the company by their own procedures and appointed someone else as the owner of the company, and that someone else was the bankruptcy lawyer. He's now the owner of the company.
Just like trust.
And he's liquidating the company through a liquidator, and they're just stacking up charges which they're sending to me. It's like, are you fucking lunatics? Are you delusional or something?
Yeah, it's like when you don't own your house, if someone can take it just because you don't pay property tax, they can take it, then you don't really own it. Then they wouldn't.
Exactly, you never own it. Exactly. And everything is a fraud. So that's what the case is about. And now I'm telling the court to dissolve this whole matter, to discharge it, and to pay the fees to me as the beneficiary, because this is all a big fraud.
There are different approaches. There's the perjury, mail fraud, and then there's the trust.
No, there's fraud in every level of this.
Yeah, but different ways of getting out of a trial on the higher levels.
Yeah.
The beneficiary, the trust, and then the perjury, and I see different strategies.
Yeah, so like Henrik said, we are pathfinders. We don't know exactly how to navigate this whole mess, but at the end of it, for me, it comes down to my free will. I've never damaged anyone, don't intend to damage anyone. I'm not stealing from anyone. Just leave me the hell alone. I don't want to be part of your fictitious construct. My parents gave me a way to be a ward of the state when I was like, a few days old. I had no choice, obviously. So I want out. And at the end of it, if I write it in according to correct sentence grammar,
the language you can
or their forms or whatever, I don't give a shit. I'm a living being. I'm here on authority from God. Basically, I was given life to be here, and I was given dominion over this earth to manage it in a good way and take care of it, and share love and light to the people that are around me and everything. And I'm not here to play games with psychopaths that want to steal my life. That's it. That's it for me. Slavery is over for me. I'd rather move out to the forest in a freaking tent and live with nature than to continue to be part of this fucking circus. I'm done with this.
And that's when you gotta think about, what are you willing to give up? Because everything. It's a big thing you're giving up. A lot of people like their comfort, they like but you got to think about, how important is it for you when you start this journey? I think you got to ask yourself that question.
Yeah, that's a problem. A lot of people are caught mentally and physically in the comfort.
And that's okay. Then they know the truth and they choose to go back. They take the red pill or the blue pill or whatever it is, and they give it back. That's a conscious choice. So you got to think about, a lot of people want to be rid of the system, but it's a long walk. You got to really determined and feel it.
Comfort is okay. I mean, God wants us to live in comfort. He wants us to enjoy the kingdom which he gave to us to enjoy. So there's nothing wrong in comfort and all of that. But for me, it's also a matter of, no one has the right to come and take the fruit of your labor. Like 100% of the fruits of your labors are yours to keep. Nobody can come and say, oh, you owe me 60% of that because you're living on my territory. Who the hell gave them territory? The state is a maritime fictional entity. And as a maritime fictional entity, they cannot own anything on the land. The only thing they can own is numbers, registrations, which are fictitious. That's why, as long as the registration number is mounted on your private conveyance, on your car, they own it. But when you take it off and you send it back to them, they technically cannot.
They can only own numbers. That's really interesting.
They cannot own property on the land. They can only own patented numbers, which are fictitious registrations in a system.
They can only own numbers. That's interesting, since grammar is really about numbers too. So we're taking back our ownership. That's interesting.
Yeah, and they don't technically own your house. they own the registration number of the house, because here in Sweden everything has a what we call a fastighetsbeteckning. It's a number attached to the property.
Matrikelnummer.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. They own that number.
Yeah, so
it's about
they
look
number
at
plate,
on a map and say, where is this number located? Oh, it's located right here. But they don't actually own the geographical points, because they never denote it with geographical points.
No,
and Henrik knows a lot more about that.
Coordinates for geographical coordinates, they're just using the matrikel.
GPS coordinates, yeah.
Yeah,
and then you delineate it. Yeah.
That's what we use when we communicate what's ours.
Yeah.
It's so interesting with the numbers. They only own
if you go walk downtown in Copenhagen, some of the old buildings, you'll actually see there's a plate stuck on the wall that says matrikel number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an actual number. It's sitting mounted on the building. It's like a brass plate.
It's kind of like our countries. Like when I went to Africa and lived there, you can just see how the colonists just took a ruler and they just made like Namibia. We get that. We get that. Just divide up the world. That's what they're doing. It's so artificial, these boundaries that we cannot cross. I mean, I can't wait to just walk right through them because they're so artificial and unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
I want to show you just how, what I do with my letters that I send back. Yeah, you send a lot of them back by now. But what I do is you all know that you get these letters through the mailbox. And these are the lines you're talking about down here. Up here it says port payé. Now that's mail fraud. There has to be a stamp there.
Mm-hmm.
And over here, of course, I just took out my address. Return to sender. I do not recognize you. I do not understand your intent. I do not have international treaty with you. You want to say something?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No assured value, no liability. The inhabitants, because you're not a resident, you're an inhabitant. Because you inhabitate and you're in your domicile, right? Has kept records of mailings. It's important everything you send back, you scan it. And then, of course, I put without prejudice pursuant to UCC 1308. And then date stamp it. The date stamp is important because it's a location. It's a location in maritime.
I did that
and
wrong.
It shows when you returned their property. Because if you don't return this, you're keeping their property. You're stealing their property. And you're not even allowed to throw it in the garbage, because then you're throwing their property away. It's their instrument.
Wow.
So here's another one. So I made a little tweaks to it here.
I just sent feedback wrong. I put
we're all learning. You see, here's another one. Now you got to understand something. A post box, I highlighted that here. You got to highlight what's wrong here. This is an old address, so that's why I didn't.
Yeah, I do not recognize your post box. I have that on mine.
So that's to say here, it's a non-contracting venue. That's what a PO box is. Yeah. That's why you can't get a bank account with a PO box.
Mm-hmm.
So you write post box here. So what you got to do is you have to look up who owns post box 76. And you have to send it to that company's registered address.
Okay.
And why is that? Because the man, administrerende direktør here, he is the guy who is responsible for this mail fraud here. He's deliberately, if you put this back in the mailbox, right? It goes to PO Box 76. Now you're not contracting with 76. So they're trapping you there, okay? Because this came through your mailbox. Very important about the PO box.
Thanks, Henrik.
So you got to do a little bit of footwork with this to figure out who is behind this. So I figured out this is City Parking Service. I make that sticker. Excuse me?
You didn't even write that there was city parking. Yeah, you could see it on the website.
Oh, you can just see on the logo, but you gotta look up who owns post box 76.
Where do you look up post boxes?
You can Google it, or you can go on this proof.dk, and you can look up all these information.
And then you even type it up, so you have typed that in on a sticker, their address.
Actually, I made a label. Because I get a lot of those. Mm-hmm. And then I put their CVR number. And this is because some companies, they have,
P
let's
number.
say like Domstolsstyrelsen, they have several offices. Each office has a unique number.
P number, yes.
Yeah, so the P number, as production number, I also put that on there. Then, because I don't want to partake in mail fraud, I put actually value on this instrument here with a 1 krona stamp, and I autograph it. Now I'm the postmaster, and I send it back. So, and I keep records of everything you ship, because this is your proof, this is your forensic evidence that they are committing mail fraud. That with this, I can prosecute them. Actually, I'm not going to prosecute them, because I send this to the Postmaster General and tell him, here is the proof, here is your forensic evidence to prosecute these criminals.
Wow.
But we still have to see that happen. Technically, all these companies and this includes the courts, they're sending out.
Oh my God, I wish I had that on the ones.
I have some envelopes from the courts too. They're also mail fraud.
Two things. I put my sticker over my address because some places they have their own address, right? You can't see where I'm pointing. They have their address above my name. So I cover my name with the sticker. And that's wrong. I can see. I have to keep my
That's
name
wrong, because this is how they send it. So what you have to do, now I took a red highlighter and I highlight all the things that is wrong. The porte-payer up here, okay? The post box, my name, I cross it over, because this is not my name. This is the nom de guerre, even though it's not all in caps. It's not in quantum. It's not a fact. This is a verb name. I'm not a verb. This is syntaxing as a verb. Actually, it's a first name, adverb, verb, pronoun. If you syntax the name here. So this is not me. I'm a fact. I'm a living man.
Yeah, you don't have the colon in front.
That is fraudulent. The post box is fraudulent. The porte-payer is fraudulent. You have to highlight that and then scan it, and then you send it off. Wow. Otherwise, you're not telling them what's wrong with your instrument.
Wow. So what happens with the ones where I just put the sticker over my name? It's kind of like you return it because you don't know the address. It's the wrong address. It has that status, right?
It's the wrong man.
Yeah.
This is not me. This is sent to someone else. This is sent to the birth certificate. This is the piece of paper. So sent to this.
What happens when you do it wrong?
We don't know. I don't know how many people that receive this that know how to do it right. This took research to do this, and I made it wrong too. So don't beat yourself up. Okay, I'm sharing this now so every one of your listeners can get this. The more people that do this, the more pressure we can put on it, the more we can get it corrected.
Exactly.
One geeky question: why, without prejudice, I have it also with the colon at front and at the end? What's the difference at full stop or colon at the end after prejudice?
Good question. I forgot about. This is a pretty old one.
Geeky, and it's a minor.
If we go back to my new one here,
there's a full stop.
There's a full stop. Yeah.
Okay.
I was learning here, I think. And by mistake, I put the colon there.
It's okay to be in black. It doesn't have to be in blue. We keep learning that.
Everything that is black is dead.
Okay? Yeah.
That's why we use black. It's dead. The blue is water, the color of water. That's why it's maritime. The red fingerprint is blood. It's the living man or woman that seals it.
I put the date stamp up in the corner where there should be a stamp instead of on my note. So my date stamp should touch my label. The return to sender label has to touch that and the envelope. My date stamp, I put it up in the corner. Go back one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So remember, you guys, to put that date stamp with 26 February to touch in the envelope, not of it.
I do that because I make joinder with my prejudice statement.
The joinder was made up in their corner where there says Denmark porte-payer.
I forgot to highlight the porte-payer there. Or I wasn't aware of the porte-payer was a mail fraud.
Here's something interesting for the Danish listeners. It doesn't say SU, it says AFS afsender, sender, colon. They're not even showing their name. They want you to just rip it open.
Yes, that's another fraud, by the way. If you don't on the vessel announce, like they did over here, who is the sender, this is mail fraud too, and this is actually punishable by prison and a fine under UPU.
We gotta get them.
Yeah, but you know, at the end of the day, I'm still thinking about all this juridical construct which you have made. From the beginning, it was not like this. They've made they made up all this bullshit along the way, which we now have to find out how they did so we can undo it. And I can appreciate the time and energy that that everyone has put into finding out all of these things. But in the end, what does that really have to do with our status as a living? Do I have to abide to all these tricks and traps that they've built into a fictitious system? No, I send them a letter however the hell I want, whether it's mail fraud or not.
Yeah, it's your letter.
At the end of the day, you know, these are tricks and traps that they've made for us, you know, pits for us to fall into.
Exactly.
And the question is, do we really have to put in all this time and energy into finding out how they've been screwing us so we can undo it? I would say no. So what Henrik and I and many other people that are working together on this really, really want at the end of the day is to have our status recognized and a platform built for everyone else to be able to jump onto if they want to, so that they don't have to go through all of these years of energy and time that we put into this, because not everybody shouldn't have to learn correct grammar. Everybody shouldn't have to learn all these tricks and traps that we're using.
It's like the law today. People shouldn't have to know the law to get what's right. You know.
Yeah. Well, we're not lawyers. We're living men and women. We have our own jurisdiction, man. If you don't like it, screw it. You know, get out of here.
But you just made me realize something, Sebastian, because what you pointed out about the driver's license is a fraudulent document. Now I have to send it back now, because once you realize a fraud that you're participating,
if you're
right?
Knowingly,
you have to, once you become aware, you have the responsibility.
I don't know if I dare to
make a decision. Do I want to continue to participate, or do I want to not participate? It's very, very simple. Like I had, for example, I have a rental car. So sometimes, and what happens is the Motorstyrelsen, they send out this road tax every 6 months that you have to pay. And so they send it to me, and I get one of those envelopes, and I realized that the company registration number, I looked it up, and it was dissolved. It was no longer active, and they were still sending out these instruments to claim their taxes. So I sent it back to them, and of course with the message that this is fraudulent.
You were renting a car, and the people you rented it from tried to collect tax off the car.
No, Motorstyrelsen.
Oh, Motorstyrelsen.
Yeah, because that's the tax for using their.
Yeah. And they tried to take it from you who renting it.
No. When you rent a car, it's the user that pays the tax for using the roads. That's the excuse they're using anyway. We made the roads, so it's ours, really. And as you're not in commerce, I'm not a taxi driver. I'm not making my living from driving on their stupid streets. So it's a private conveyance. So I send it back, and then they send it to the company that rents the car.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
And they didn't inform me. So the rental car company, they paid it. And now they're charging when I pay the car, then they're adding the tax on top. And so I'm saying, excuse me, but that's, a mistake, because I haven't
contract.
I haven't authorized this. And so they come and say, yeah, but that's wrong, and everybody has to pay the tax, and it says in your contract, and then the stupid guy, he attaches the contract to the mail, and I go in there and I highlight, it says, I am only responsible and I only authorize the payment for the fee to rent the car. Any other costs, any other charges, I am responsible for settling myself. It says word for word. And then they're using the finger, and then they're using the contract that I signed, and I have signed, and that's not what it says. They don't even know what it says in their own paperwork. Now, another rental company, before I had another rental company, they did the same mistake, and then I complained about it, and they returned the money that they charged too much, because a company like the tax office are not allowed to forward any charges to, in this case, the rental company, without giving me notice.
Even from what we learn in school.
Exactly. Yeah. They have to give me notice. You didn't pay your bill. We're sending it to collection through your rental company. And then the rental company, they have an agreement with me that I pay, let's say, every month. They're not authorized to take whatever off my account that they want. And they did that. So I wrote to the leasing company and said, this is wrong. And then they came again with the finger and they said, you don't know contract law. Not knowing the law does not excuse you from liability.
Yeah, we learned that in school.
I wrote this all the way up through the command structure of that company. Even the bosses, they don't know. I mean, what kind of people run companies and they don't know the law? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Exactly. That's a maxim too. And I put that in my letter work and I send that off.
One of the elements of contract is privity of contract. And privity of contract means that the two parties that entered into the contract have a right to sue each other for breach of contractual elements.
Exactly.
But the third party cannot enter into that.
Exactly.
So the Modulstyrelsen cannot send the bill to a third party and say, oh, you take money from him.
Exactly.
No, privity of contract.
It's really one-on-one.
And it's going on here, and it's going on a daily basis. And then I write to them, if I participate in this, I am part breaking the law too, and I am not on. And they said if I don't pay, I break the law. No, if you do this charging this way, you're breaking the law, and now you're telling me I should break the law with you? I don't think so. Exactly. Now I have actual evidence, and I can sue them for trying to elicit me into breaking the law. Because they say that's the law. In Denmark, we break the law. That's the law. That's how stupid these people are.
Yeah. So many cases of fraud against.
It goes on all the time, everywhere, constantly. And if we don't stop, if we don't put our foot down and say, I'm not participating, this is never going to end.
No, exactly.
Amazing. Exactly. Amazing world that I stepped into the month of November. I was just a coach living a nice capitalistic life, getting my big fat paychecks and being happy, all American. And now it's the world.
I've done the same. I've worked the IT world. I have done big, huge corporations, payment systems for SEPA, for the Eurozone. I was making tons of money. I was having most of the time free. The amount of time I put into my work that I was paid for was like nothing compared to this is labor. This is hard work. And here you don't get off by just doing it half. If you do it half, you don't get the result.
Yeah, and even when we're
but then on the other hand, what pisses me off is this is unpaid labor, right? So they create a fictional construct to trick us out of our life and labor. They keep us in slavery, and then we have to work our asses off, unpaid of course, to undo their whole thing. For me, it's like just telling them, fuck off. I'm not part of it anymore.
Yes,
and do whatever the hell you want. Here's your license. Here's your personbevis, everything. Just get the hell away from me, Because
I agree with you, but I also want to. Nothing you do in life is ever a waste. That's what my wisdom of my life has shown. Everything I did in my life always paid off further down the line. We go through all this. I know more about the law than any lawyer. The lawyer that was supposedly trying to help me in a case, I know, and you know the same, Samantha.
They're incompetent.
Now I know more about the law. No one can come and screw with me in the future because I know the law chapter and verse better than them. And I can sue everyone that comes. And I know how to do it. I know the ways. I know the laws. I know the codes. I know the procedures. That education you get from getting yourself out of this is priceless.
Yeah.
So you got to take every shitty situation, take it and turn it and look at it in the bright side. In the Codan, the insurance company I worked, they had this big advertisement, and there's a glass of water half filled, and they ask the question, what do you see? Is the glass half full or is it half empty? I decided to look at that. The glass is half full.
Me too, but I want to crack some skulls now, because we're not winning yet. It's lawful, we know it, we're busting them, but we've got to get them to cave. But that's what I feel like you're doing, Sebastian, driving with that driver's license from common law court. Number plate from common law court. To me, that's the win. That's the people's win against the system that really gives hope. And then we're too small a win. And
but
it's symbolic, like I said, and it's evidence
to erase the property from their databases.
And I know it's small, but it gives hope, and it gives proof.
Another wisdom. Nothing big ever came from something big. Everything came from something small.
Sure,
that's true. Changing a word, like for the long story short.
So you got to start crawling before you can running.
And being tactical also.
And what it did for me is also that it builds confidence in yourself and in your mental state and in your soul, basically, that you're a sovereign living on the land where no one has any right over you unless you harm somebody. And I'm looking around, who's damaged? Please show me a living party that claims to be damaged, and I will definitely settle that. There's no problem. And they're like, oh, there is no one damaged. Oh, so what the hell is the problem? Oh, you broke the law. Fuck you.
And you're really doing more than you probably know, Sebastian. By sharing this story with other people, it just moves the whole movement fast, because there's so much gossip going on, so much false information, so much but this is specific.
You have to walk the talk,
Exactly. And what we're doing here is we are doing the ripples that is fixing this world for our children. That's why I'm doing this.
For our children.
Yeah, that's why I took the fight as well, because I'm not leaving this behind for my kids, because by the time they're 25, 30, 35, or at least capable of dealing with the shit, we will be so far down in the slavery that we will never have half a chance to undo this. We might be maybe one of the last generations that can actually do something about it now, because now they want to ID chip everybody and all of that crazy shit. Which is going to take humanity down the slavery road in a way like we couldn't even imagine in our worst nightmares, So we'll see if we get everybody on our side from within the system. That's also why I'm writing this letter to the court now. I'm writing it to this guy, to the administrator, also in regards to the payment, because they're basically claiming my sweat equity as a living being to administrate all the shit that they put in a box, which they presume is my mailbox, which obviously it's not.
What about taking? Sorry.
This, for all intents and purposes, classifies as slavery.
What about taking down our mailboxes so we don't even have a mailbox? I want to.
You can try that. You can try that, but the post office will put one back because you're under the jurisdiction of the UPU, and it's the UPU that owns your mailbox. It's not you.
What if I own my land and my property and my house?
Then you
on a common law jurisdiction.
Yes, then you can put terms and conditions if they put a mailbox. In a lot of the elites, they have mailboxes, but outside their matricle number, right? So it's outside the property number. So they don't contract because, it's because it's on your matricle. They contract when they put the letter in there. But here's another thing about your property, okay? This is the new one that I've just been getting. The vaccine that they're pushing right now, it's not a vaccine.
I know.
Legally, it's not. What it is, it's a genetically altering material. What they are trying to do, because we are natural born humans, they want to alter our DNA just like they alter the crops.
Yeah.
And when you alter something, you can patent it.
Yeah.
You can't patent something natural. They're trying to take over even our bodies.
What the scary part about that, Henrik, is that it's also the crops. It's our children. That's what's scary. When Monsanto fruits blow over to the neighbor, they sue the neighbor for infesting their natural crops with their gene modified crops, and they can do that. That's the crazy. When I knew, I had that epiphany.
This has got to come out. They are trying to alter our DNA so they can patent us
and our children,
own us, and our children.
Yeah, and then our children's children. It's scary shit.
Exactly.
You got to think about the things you can change.
Yes, and I don't think this will be allowed to really roll out, but right now it started, and we gotta be diligent. And we gotta talk. We gotta tell this to the people.
Did you see the TED Talk in 2003 from the CEO where he explains what mRNA it really is? It's changing the computer system. He says that in 2003. Their own CEO explains what it is.
The vaccine company, the one that is owned by Fauci, they are saying it's an injectable operating system. Okay, nanoparticles of an injectable operating system. And what is an operating system? That's something you program, and then it operates according to what you want in the program.
Yeah, it is as scary as the movie that was released. Anyways, I don't want to think too much about that, but I think it's important to know, so you know what we're up against and why we can't just sit idle by. Think about Monsanto.
Exactly. We have to say no. If we don't say no, they're gonna keep rolling this shit out.
Yes, it's like this thing. If I accept this, the rental company to pay the road tax, I'm complicit, and I say no. And you got to say no. Mail fraud everywhere. When you see it, you act. When you know, now I know about my driver's license, by the way. Thank you for that, because I'm going to send back that fraudulent document. I wasn't thinking of that.
It was created based on a fraud because they have no correct information about you, so they cannot put it there. It's all hearsay.
And that's why we spend so much time making our live claim correct.
Exactly. And it's autographed and witnessed by 3 other living. So that constitutes a class action suit, basically, according to trust law. And if the state wants to rebut your live claim, good luck with that.
Yeah. And they're not even trying to rebut it. I never heard of them trying to rebut it. They don't even, they just fall flat every time.
When they see mine, they can get out of the courtroom.
Yeah, it really does work.
Yeah, it does.
And we can avoid courts if we can, but if we have to go there, sometimes you have to, otherwise they'll come to you, judge.
Yeah.
But Sebastian, do you have anything?
I'm really sorry, but I gotta go. It's almost 1 o'clock and my son's...
Me too. I was gonna ask if you had any last things for the listeners to know that are starting out in this journey.
No, not really. I mean, it's a really a choice in your soul to do this or not to do this. If you want to be a slave, go ahead, be my guest. But if you want to be free, then you got to stand up for yourself. And what it all means is basically taking back responsibility for your own life and stop being a stupid servant of the state and taking privileges from them. Exactly. So that's it. And like Henrik said, the more we are, the more pressure we put on the system. They can't keep hiding. They're a fraud. And they're, keeping you as a slave based on fraud.
And in order to live, we have to have an income to make a living. Sebastian, do you have anything that you sell, a business, something you'd like to promote? We can send a link to the audience. They get to know you better, your services.
Well, actually, I do have a company called Energivatten, Energy Water.
I'll put a link for it in the interview when it comes out on email to people.
I don't know. I can write it here in the chat. There you go.
Good. And do you have something you want to say to people they can do with this?
Well, what I'm doing through this website is I discovered a long time ago the benefits of good drinking water. A lot of people have a misconception about water. First of all, they think that water is H2O. Water, the formula for water is not H2O. It's actually H3O2.
Wow. Because
water molecules are never alone. They always combine. And when you have 2 water molecules, you have 2 oxygen and 3 hydrogen. So it's H3O2 is the correct formula for water. People don't even know that. So let's start with that. When you restructure water and when you give it the correct molecular structure, the water becomes bound molecularly in a hexagonal shape. And the hexagonal shape frees up electrons in the water that start acting against other molecules which are in the water, which a scientist named Gerald Pollack, he calls this the self-healing effect of water, or the self-healing property of water, because water, revitalized water, starts to neutralize other things, other solutions which are in the water, which the water itself doesn't like. So it kind of heals itself by just giving it the correct molecular structure. And once you revitalize the water, it's also important of how you keep, how you preserve the water, the drinking water, for some time. So we designed a special carafe container for the water, which is egg-shaped.
Karaffe.
Mm-hmm.
And the shape of the egg is the best geometrical shape for containing any liquids, because everything, absolutely everything that has a 90-degree
the pipes go like and destroy the water pipes,
creates a stagnant energy zone which tends to kill the water. It kills the microbes in the water. That's why the water starts smelling.
Mm-hmm.
The 90-degree shape in water containers also aggravates the oxygen in the water. So when oxygen starts to become aggravated, it departs, departs from the water particle and attaches itself to the side of the containers as small air bubbles. So for example, when you see a glass of water that's been standing in the sun for a long time and the water's become hot and all of that, you see bubbles of air on the side of the glass. Well, you should never drink that water, because that is very, very aggravated oxygen. And it's really bad for your body because it changes the pH level and so on. And I actually discovered this back in 2015 when I was living in Poland, because I got really, really sick by drinking tap water, which smelled okay, it looked okay, everything seemed to be okay. But man, I was sick for almost a year from drinking that water.
Wow.
So I started to look into how do I get good water everywhere I go, especially traveling all over the world as a pilot. So I came across this company called Grander, which is from Austria, and they make some products that I'm selling through my website as well here in Sweden. And then I studied thoroughly the works of Victor Schauberger, Masaru Emoto, and many other water scientists, which led to the development of this carafe that I am producing in a glass company here in Sweden.
Amazing.
So that's what I'm doing through my website. So I am trying to make a living with that. It's not really quite making a living, because
get it out to the world.
But I enjoy doing it, and it gives people really good drinking water, which is the basis of life. There's
a great documentary that has science and documentation to everything you're just saying, where they measured it. I'll try to find a link. It's on Gaia, and put it out with your interview if people want to see that. That's fully documented what you said about the shapes and the angles. So.
I have also a picture here of something that I use. Amazing. You could just take your bottle of water and put it on this shape.
Hectic.
And leave it there. And especially if you transport water, it also needs to settle down. So for like half an hour, you put your bottle there and you drink it. It amazing. Restructures the water too.
Cool.
Amazing.
It's very, very simple.
Thank you so much for this. Has been amazing. And I'm sure maybe the audience want to follow up, know more about the water. We got to get your work out there. Everything that you've experienced, Sebastian. Thank you so much for sharing it. And Henriks, thank you for introducing me to Sebastian.
Of course.
Thank you so much. You have a really nice day. God bless you all.
You too.
And we'll talk again soon.
You too.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao again. Okay,
Bye.
that's Sebastian. Bye.